Attention crew and passengers. This is your co-pilot speaking. Your pilot is black mind, so you are not going blind and there is no power failure. You are merely experiencing the immense blackness of his proximity, and when you hear his voice, the cabin will get even darker than it is now. We will be cruising at the speed equal to the speed of light, because there is one thing that can match it, and that is darkness. You will probably be a lot darker when we arrive as well. This is normal, and your loved ones awaiting your arrival might think you spend time in the tropics. When you tell them about the pilot, they'll understand. We will taxi to the runway now, so please buckle up and prepare for a high-speed departure. Thank you for choosing Jet Black Airways.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So here's the deal. To be honest, it was last night my time, which would have been about late Monday morning for most of you, that I recorded the last message. Passport Pookies versus the Malcolm X Standard. Now, in recording that one, I have to tell you guys that I was unaware of what I was going to hear this morning when I got up. So this morning I got up and Auston Holleman was live, and he made mention of a lady in Colombia that he stopped in one of his shorts. And this lady in Colombia was in the mall with him. And he was trying to ask her, where's the food court? So he was asking about comida, donde está comida, where is food? Now, he did not say centro de comida or colección de restaurantes, which are just kind of definitions of what we would call a food court. I don't think that they would actually literally translate in Spanish food court. You could say plaza of the restaurants. You could say that. That would make sense. And sometimes when you're learning another language, you do have to think about the literalities or the words that have multiple meanings and how they could be mistranslated even in Google Translate only because one meaning of a word was translated instead of another meaning. The language barrier is something to understand, and I'm going to record on Buy Me a Coffee and on Passport Bros for subscription, for subscribers, things about how you navigate the language barrier, how you even prevent certain things that come with the language barrier. If you're prepared, you can sidestep a lot of these things, and I'm going to talk about that for pay. Now, that's not going to be free, and it should not. Everything ain't to be told. But I will say this here on YouTube and on Odyssey for free, and I'll probably back this up on Rumble as well. I will say this here. You know, it's somewhat messed up, but there are stupid people anywhere. I'm talking about people that are actually low IQ. Now, most people have a mix. Most people are somewhat quite skilled at a few things and then quite unskilled at other things. That is also the case. That happens frequently. So somebody not being good in English doesn't necessarily make them an idiot. Somebody not being good in Cantonese does not make them an idiot. Somebody not being good in Mandarin or Vietnamese or Igbo does not make them an idiot. And these are some difficult languages because of the tone. Like they got a lot of meanings that have the same word, but the tone determines the meaning. It's not even the word you use next to it, but the tone of voice that determines what meaning you are attributing to a word. So uh, those are some difficult ones. You're not an idiot because you don't know those languages. But you do have people that have the two problems. You got people that are just generally stupid, or they just were too cool for school, and so they're artificially stupid. They couldn't stand school when they were younger, and now they don't have the same knowledge as everybody else around them. So they become artificially stupid by comparison, based on how they practiced. But then you also have people that are smart in things except for language and communication. They can only communicate in their language and their dialect and nothing else. They can't communicate in anything else. There are people like that. You have to know this and you have to be ready for them. When you go to different places, like for instance, when I came here, I had to deal with that. Now, in the chat, I don't think Auston Holleman saw my comments. I wouldn't expect him to see my comments. So I'm recording this in case he can hear it. And not only that, but also in case some of you can hear this and benefit. It could help you. That's why I'm recording this. If he hears it, great. He probably won't. But for you guys, I do want you to have a chance, though, at hearing this. I want you guys to know this. You are going to come across people when you travel who they will not know the difference between their language in another accent and English. They won't know. They are that slow. Sometimes it is because they're in a rush and they're a little bit dim-witted. And so what they do is they listen with their eyes. You heard me correctly. I didn't make a mistake. I meant to say it that way. What they see determines how they understand the sounds around them. I mean, in all honesty, I can sit up here and let off fireworks right under my feet. I know they're firecrackers, but they're right under my feet. And I'm standing with a toy gun, a toy M16, and I'm just waving that M16 around. People are going to look and think, oh, this mother cuss word shooting, even though an M16 going off has to sound different from an actual firecracker. You could say that acoustically speaking, the accent is the same. That's symbolic talk. That's what it's like when they can look and tell that you're from somewhere else. I don't always know how they can, but you can look and tell someone is from somewhere else. And some people can look and tell not that we are specifically American. Others can look and tell that we're from some English speaking country or another. That generally does happen. When you can look and tell that someone is from somewhere else and English is probably their first language, and then they speak to you and their accent does not exactly match the local accent of your local language, you think they're talking English. Now, you're pretty stupid if you do that. But if you're even in a hurry, you might think so. Too much of a hurry to listen to somebody. Auston was lucky because this happened to him after how long he's been gone from the States. He was fortunate. Now, how about, in my case, when I first got to this country, when I began to use Arabic, more and more people started saying to me, I don't speak English. I heard that more and more and more and more. Now, the first city in which I lived was very backwards and anti-educational and anti-intellectual. Cheating was the way people got ahead in school. They would not cheat you in business because that was beneath them, but in school, they didn't care. They cheated again and again and again and again. That was their way. Religious guys cheated, cats with big beards and short thobes who were real strict about everything would cheat. They didn't, it was normal to them. I told them it makes you a low-life piece of crap especially if you're going to preach this religion and then you turn around and cheat academically every time a test is put in front of you. Yeah, we see you as a hypocrite. But, they would say, well, it's not cheating, it's help. Yeah, it's cheating, dude. If it's during an exam when you're not supposed to be talking and communicating with someone else, and we need to know your skill level, it's a problem. I mean, if everybody cheats in medical school, how are you going to have a good hospital if you have no good doctors? What's wrong with y'all? These were real better ones. And one of the problems with them is that, and I remember this clearly, I went to a restaurant once with a friend of mine. And we parked behind the restaurant. It was a hotel and the restaurant was downstairs. So we parked behind it and we went in and we ate and then we came back out. Here's the funny thing. As we came back out, I kid you not, there was this car parked behind us. It was a brown Ford Explorer. Now this brown Ford Explorer was blocking us in. So we went in and we didn't necessarily know whose it was, but there was one couple that came in after us and we didn't see anybody come in for a while after them. So, and they were walking out. So I went to the man and I said to him in Arabic, "Excuse me, sir, do you own a brown Ford Explorer?" Now I asked him this in Arabic. And this dude said, "I don't speak English." And so I said to him, "I didn't use English." And his wife immediately got on him. And it's one of the few times I've seen a wife, pop a man in the back of the head. Now, she wasn't violent. It didn't hurt him. But, Arabic speaking women are not pushovers in general. They're respectful for the most part, but they're not just pushovers. She popped him in the back of his head, but not painfully. She said, "Hey, man, look, dummy." She called him hubby. This man did not say anything in English. He asked you in Arabic, "Do you own the brown Ford Explorer behind this building?" "That's your car, sir." Well, not sir. She said, so I think maybe his name was Syed, which also means sir. And she said to him, "I told you not to park behind that car, and you did it anyway. You never listened to me." And sure enough, that was them. So I asked my man that drove me there, I said, "Hey, his name is Black Abraham, right?" That's, if you translate his name, it's Black Abraham or Abraham the Black. No joke. I said, "Hey, Abraham, look, man, why did that dude say to me I don't speak English and I didn't talk to him in English?" And he straight told me, "Man, people here stupid." And look, and I thought, this dude is married, driving a big old Ford Explorer that's relatively new. He obviously ain't poor. How you be that stupid and be that successful? But he was. He was not suffering. He was not hurting. Dude had what he needed in life. It's just that easy. And I was just like, see, that's why it is that when locals here complain about foreigners getting the jobs, I don't sympathize, because while they're complaining about foreigners getting the jobs, I'm looking at them like, well, yeah, but then let's look at what you're not doing. I mean, if somebody speaks to you and they have an accent from another language, you act like they're speaking that language. What are you, crazy? Is that what's going on? So, and then oh, never mind. I dealt with this in that first town weekly. Now, when I moved to the second town in which I lived, where my wife still is, it was different. It happened, but it wasn't as often. It wasn't as common. And as a matter of fact, I was there before the summer break. I was there for a semester for the spring. Now, were people there pretty dumb? Yeah, they were better ones. So they're pretty stupid. But then, and it was artificial. They're not born dumb. They play dumb so long for so many years that they make themselves artificially dumb. But when I went on a summer vacation in the States and then came back here and went to that town again to start the next semester, I went into a McDonald's and I asked the guy, listen, do y'all, I think it was a grandchild. I don't know. I asked him if they had a particular one left, just making sure they didn't run out. And I asked him in Arabic, and dude said, he said to me, Arabi, which means Arabic. Now, when a local repeats the same word twice, I already know what kind of person this is. He lazy, and because of that, he done got stupid over the course of his life by being lazy. He doesn't want to think. He doesn't want to form sentences. And if he did, if he spoken a full sentence in Arabic, it would be so much slang, I still wouldn't understand. I'm hard on folks, bro. So I said, hey, man, I didn't speak to you in English just now. I spoke to you in Arabic. And the dude said it again, Arabi. Then before I could say to him, listen, dummy, he turned and called the Filipino guy. He said, John, come translate. So I leaned over the counter and I screamed back to John, who I didn't see. I said, John, don't worry about it. I'm using Arabic. This dude just don't understand. And I heard somebody laughing. And I turned to this man and I told him, and he was a Saudi now, working at a McDonald's. And I turned to him and I said, people like you are the reason that you don't find jobs easily. People like you are the reason that you have to tell your government to set jobs aside for you. I spoke to you in Arabic from the very beginning. If you had your brain working, you would have known that. You weren't born stupid, but you're lazy. Now, did you understand what I just said? And the dude was like, bruh, I don't speak English. So, you know what? That became a rarity in the second city. It happened, but it took months for the first time. And then a few weeks later, I went to one of the other fast food places and it was the same thing. And this dude's friend slapped him in the back of his head, like First Buddy's wife slapped him in the back of his head and said, stupid, he wasn't using English. He said it in Arabic. And I turned to the friend and I said, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And so then the guy behind the counter was like, oh, you were using Arabic? Oh, okay, what you want? And I said, man, don't worry about it, bro. I said it to you twice in Arabic. Before he hit you, I said it twice in Arabic. Why did you do that, man? And it was like, I wasn't thinking. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking. I told him, well, how are you doing your job if you ain't thinking? You got all these other, this was in a mall's food court, by the way. And I said, this is in a food court. I said, man, you got all these competitors right around here and you're not thinking? Okay, well, appreciate that, bro. But one of your competitors today won. Now, I can't remember how to say the word competitor in Arabic. I think what I said was it's a race. And I pointed at everybody else. And I said, one of the others against you won. That was how I said it. Because there's some things I don't know how to say in Arabic. And I've been told that my accent, when I speak Arabic, gives me away not only as an English speaker, but specifically an American. I've been told that. But I've also told local people here before, too, if I speak slowly and I pronounce the words, generally speaking, correctly, then you're stupid if you still don't understand. Or you skipped school so many days when you were young that you're uneducated. That's what I've told some people before. I've said to them, I'm not going to overlook that. When I talk to you in Arabic and you say, I don't speak English, we're going to have problems. Because how stupid do you have to be to not know that I'm speaking your language when I speak it to you? If it's really your language. It's hard. I'm telling you now, Arabic is much harder than Spanish because even though both languages are actually pretty well organized, the issue is that, number one, not only do you have to read in the opposite direction in Arabic, but to learn the proper pronunciation of a word, you got to read in three directions. up and down as well, because that's where they put the vowel marks. And I've heard Arabs speaking English so badly that I did not know they were speaking English. Now, I'm not joking. I just thought they were speaking a third language, neither English nor Arabic. It's that bad. I have students. Now, I'm teaching advanced now, and that's full time. I don't switch semester. I don't go from one level to the next as the semester goes. I'm now teaching advanced full time every semester. That's my job. That's what I was paid. That's what I was hired to do. And I got students this semester. And of all students that are in my class that I actually met that came to class, not a single solitary one is actually prepared for the advanced level. All of them are ill-equipped for the advanced level. Every last one of them, no exception. There's not one student I have that's actually ready. I got two that are trying and they're getting better. Two. I only got 5 that actually show up for the classes. One of them we're going to drop when Ramadan is over, the 6th one. But I'm telling you guys, no, this is not a joke. We're not playing around when it comes to this educational system here. And when people here don't have the education together, you'd be shocked at their stupidity. But they have it. They can be pretty dim-witted. And they weren't born like this. They practice it. These guys, man, it's bad. But these guys that are here that do this stuff are all over. But the bigger the city you get to, and the more developed the educational system is, the better it generally gets. So this pattern is not everywhere all the time. I'm not running into people like this every week like I was in the first little city in which I lived. It's not like that. And I'm not running into, not really running into that at all in the place where I now live, which is a fairly big city. The coastal areas generally do have better education. So I'm not dealing with this now, but in the previous 2 places in which I lived, it was like that. When I lived in Riyadh, I did not bump into that. In Riyadh, there were some people that didn't speak English, but if I spoke to them in Arabic, at least they knew I was speaking Arabic. And I would say to some of them, look, and even in Riyadh, I was supposed to be teaching students that had a foundation in English, and most of them did. Most of them did. But when I had a student that had no foundation in English, pretty much I would tell them, listen, you're going to have to catch yourself up or you're going to fail. I'm not going to start at the bottom for you. I'm not supposed to. It's not something I can do, and they know this. You came in here unprepared. But that was the fault of the Institute, because the Institute really was supposed to screen people who did not learn the English they were supposed to learn in high school, and they didn't. They started letting them in. Because, nobody wanted to tell a citizen that they didn't qualify. We've had that happen before. So I sat up and I straight told, one of the reasons why a lot of locals wind up not qualifying for the things they want is because when it comes down to the English language requirements, they just didn't do it. They never learned. They didn't learn what they were supposed to learn in the English classes in high school. And so consequently, they don't qualify for the jobs that they want. They don't qualify for any job that anybody would really truly want for the long term. They just don't qualify. And so it bees like that. That's it. They did it to themselves, so to speak. That's oftentimes what we say. Well, tell them, look, you did this to yourself. We didn't tell you to sleep during English class. And some of them would say, the teachers were no good. They always tell, especially if you are an English teacher, they love to tell you how their English teacher in high school and middle school was no good. And they just play video games in class with students all day. They love to do that. And there's a point where we start saying to them, well, if you know your teacher's no good, you're going to have to go another route to learn English, but you don't get to come here with none of it at all and then sit in an advanced class. You don't get to do that. Well, doctor, help me. I'm Miss Skeen. I got all these sisters in the family and I need this job or I need this opportunity. Oh, you Miss Skeen? You're Miss Skeen, meaning you're poor, you're unfortunate, you're unlucky. So wait a minute. You got this. And you're gonna sit up. So you knew you had sisters a long time ago, and now you sit up and saying that because you didn't learn what you were supposed to learn, we supposed to have pity on you and let you slide. Man, that ain't how this works. That ain't how the world works. Get your behind back into a beginning English class somewhere and catch up and come see us. We don't start at the bottom here. No one does. So we deal with that a lot. Language barriers are a major thing when you're going abroad. It's one of the major things. And what I do is, in my job, I try to make it such that you're not going to have that. We're trying to help Saudi become similar to the Philippines in that regard, where the people have their language and they also have English as an international language so that they have the advantage. See, in the Philippines, linguistically speaking, the citizens have the advantage. They have their own language, languages even. They have that. Here, a lot of the citizens have that, but a lot of the citizens don't have that because there are a lot of them here that they don't even learn Arabic correctly. And they laugh at people who speak Arabic correctly. They wouldn't laugh at me for doing that. They'd be impressed. But in Arabic, an Arab who speaks Arabic correctly is somebody whom they would just bust out laughing. Because to them, it sounds like when somebody speaks biblical English to us. And when I say biblical English, it's just maybe you would call it Middle English, but that's what it sounds like. Just, it sounds like something out of an old Shakespeare play. So stop and think about that you got folks here in a country with a bloated educational system. It's pretty well funded, and they don't speak their own language properly. And they actually go into advanced classes because they get passed along, like in America, and they think that because you understand what they're trying to tell you, that their English is good, and in fact, their English is ucked up. All of my students now have that, all of them. It's only 5 that come to class, but all 5 of them they had that problem. 2 of them realized they need to improve, but they didn't know that when they first got to me. They thought they were normal. I had to tell them, no, your English is ucked up. Your English is like a caveman's English. Yesterday, I had to tell 3 of them, 2 of them. I had to tell 2 of them, you know how you speak broken Arabic to the people from India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, and it's caveman Arabic? You know how you do that? Yeah, well, that's what you wrote here in English. In English, you did the same thing, and you wrote it this way. I don't even know what you're trying to say here. I know the meaning of almost every word, but the sentences don't make sense. You didn't even break the sentences up one from another. Language barrier is no joke. And you have to deal with, on top of that, the stupidity of people in general. Human beings are not naturally stupid, but there are going to be stupid people everywhere. And some people are only stupid linguistically and not in any other way. But you're going to deal with that. You're going to find that. You're going to come across that. And they're not going to fix themselves. They're not even interested. They don't even think there's anything to fix. That's the truth. So you're going to come. So Auston, I want you to know, and I want others to know, that if you go a long time before anybody responds to you speaking their language with the response, I don't speak English, you're pretty lucky, actually. Where I am, and it's a developed nation, infrastructure and security here, great. But where I am, it is bad. That part is bad, not in the big cities, but you get away from the cities, it is bad. They don't know their own language correctly and properly and don't want to know it and think it's funny and amusing if somebody speaks their own language correctly, properly. It's a big joke to them. They're not going to change how they are, even though it's wrong by their own standards. They're not going to change that. No, you're supposed to figure it out. So it gets like that. So when you come here to teach, And you may start off, if you work for a company that can move you around, you will probably start off somewhere where everybody else does not want to work. Some smaller city, it may have an airport. You're lucky if if it has a train station. It might have an airport, but you're going to be there with the stupidity and the backwardsness. Some of these places, they have killed school teachers for being honest. It's not so much now, but this has happened before. You will be there. And if you don't let people cheat, everybody goes against you. Ask me how I know. Happened to me. And they'll be really nice and their hospitality is off the charts, but they are not into development. They want the system and infrastructure to be developed, but they do not do anything to develop themselves. They don't believe in self-improvement. They laugh at stuff like that. And they hold each other back. N19s, hands down from top to bottom with no apologies. You have to notice about them. You have to know that that's there. You have to know that they don't have any interest in fixing that about themselves. They don't even see it as something to fix. And it's going to show in the language, because when you start to learn the language, when you start to learn Arabic, especially if you learn it correctly, then you speak it correctly. And a lot of people there will not know, and they will turn to look at you and say, I don't speak English. I could tell you a funny story, man. In Medina, I got in a ride share driven by a black Saudi. And that man looked at me and he said, I don't speak English. When I talked to him in classical Arabic, he looked at me casually and said, I don't speak English. And when I said to him, I didn't say anything in English. This is where it gets even worse. I said to him, I didn't say anything in English. I said it in Arabic. And then my wife perked up. She she perked up and said, wait a minute. Did you ask him, did you say you don't speak English? And the dude said, how long have y'all been in this country? So I said, well, I've been here 6 years. And he said, well, how come you didn't learn Arabic? Now, at this point, we're having a conversation in Arabic, and he's asking me why I didn't learn Arabic. And my wife lit into him and said, what the hell is wrong with you? My husband is up here talking to you in Arabic, and you got the nerve to sit up here and talk about how you don't speak English. He didn't say anything to you in English. For all you know, English is not his first language. Okay, he's not Arab, but what if English is not his first language? And dude said, he said again, I don't understand how people live here so long and they don't learn Arabic. Dude was stuck on this. My wife lit into him. I didn't even catch everything she said. And she finally just said, man, just take us to our car. I'll tell you where it is. And when we got out, my wife said, don't leave that man no tip. I know how you do. You probably tip him. You probably gonna leave him a tip just because he's black. Don't do it. Dude was an idiot. He was almost making fun of you. And even once I was in a real developed city called Hobart. This is years ago on a vacation during a trip. And I got in a car, a ride share. This is before my wife and I had our car. Got in a ride share, and the dude that picked us up was the only one in his family that had not learned English. His wife was an English teacher. His kids were bilingual. He was a Bedouin from some backwoods town. I swear to God, the only reason this man was married to his wife is because his family arranged it. And this dude had, rotten teeth, probably from smoke. I don't know what it was from. I'm sure his breath was funky if I'd sat on the front row. If I sat in the front seat with him, he would have smelled, I'm sure he would have smelled bad. I know this dude smoked. Heavy smoker. And I don't respect it when Saudis light up like that because they're so conservative. Why do they smoke so much? I've told them about this before. But in any case, Dude was like, I don't speak English every time I spoke to him. And this is before the trip to Medina. So I said, sir, I didn't say anything in English. And my wife was like, be nice. And I said, no, shuck that fit. And I turned to the man and I said, listen, I didn't ask you to speak English. I didn't speak English to you. But you know what? Let me go ahead and ask this question. How was it everybody in your family but you was learned it? What happened? I know it was free in school. How did you not learn it? I don't speak English. Yeah, I know that. I'm asking you why not? See, Arabic is not free in our schools in the States. English is free and mandatory for y'all. So why did you not learn it? What did you do when you were in school? Did you sleep? Did you cheat? What? My wife was like, be nice. But the guy still was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. He asked my wife to translate. My wife started translating a bunch of compliments I never said. So in any case, look, let me tell y'all this right quick before I go. I'll tell y'all how to deal with that and ways to get around it, but that's only going to be on like Buy Me a Coffee or the Passport Bros app. I'm not doing that for free. But know that if you do live or visit abroad a lot, in some parts of the world, you're going to come across that a whole lot. Austin was lucky because he didn't come across that until now. I hope this helps out. Thank you all for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. Assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it. Black patriarchy till extinction of judgment day. Thank you for flying with us again on Jet Black Airways. Jet Black is also a verb. Keep Jet Black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.